Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Solio Analytics podcast. This is episode 3 of season 26-27. Luke isn't with us today because, well, he's should I say sailing off? No, he's not really sailing off to Japan, but he is in Japan. He's enjoying himself. But back by, popular demand doesn't even cut it. It's like the doors were being banged on. When is James coming on the podcast? He promised us last season that he'll come pre-season, so we had to get James on, and he's so excited, aren't you, James?
I am so excited. Oh my goodness me, what an introduction. I'm with my favourite two podcasters in the world here. Luke is a close number 3 after listening to his debut appearance at Solio Analytics. I'm so excited for the upcoming FPL season and excited to be here.
I'm going to come back to you, James, on some of the cool stuff that you've been working on in your favorite feature. But Jonny, firstly, how's your weekend been? More new stuff? You've shocked everybody with your draft. Are there any shocks you've lined up this squad?
Well, the issue with picking 4 Coventry players is that I can't change my draft. I can't even make any transfers.
Also that you have 4 Coventry players.
So that's the one. But
that's the issue.
Slowly, people are thinking maybe wildcard 3, maybe no Haaland, maybe triple Arsenal defence, and I'll pretend I thought that was really clever and I thought that's what everyone was going to do, but no, that was just a fun draft to do early on.
It was good. It got our juices flowing in terms of, this was an opportunity.
You can do different stuff, I think.
I definitely won't be going 4 or even 3 Coventry if I'm not going Haaland, because there's a lot of money to be spent, but that we'll talk about that.
Yes, but yeah, I think it was a nice. I sort of saw it as a bit of a kick up the backside to be like, guys, you can do different things. That's not to say, those drafts that we were looking at before, you and Luke made before when we thought Haaland was looking really good. They're very good. It's just that, actually...
They're other good.
As we'll talk about in more detail with some of the chip strategy stuff coming up later, is that actually there are very similarly good things that can be very different, if that's what you want. You might not.
Right.
You might want to, stick with the herd. That's also absolutely fine. No judgment. But yes, let's see. I've no surprises as far as I'm aware. But James normally outdoes me with his stuff.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, I'm going to have 5 Coventry players.
Oh, damn it. Yeah. I can't keep up with that.
You could have done 4 Coventry and 5 Chelsea. I think Harry did that. So opportunity missed,
City
guys.
And I don't know.
Yeah,
really.
But James, coming to you. So obviously you're a big part of Solio. You've been busy over the summer. So I think the first thing I wanted to start off with, how has this summer been compared to last summer? What were you most excited by as you were working through stuff this summer?
Oh, this summer has been so busy. We've added a lot of new features to Solio. Most of the features that we've added over the summer, we were working on during last season, playing around with them, testing them, designing them. The summer was really the summer's meant to be a break from FPL, but actually it was a sprint to overhaul everything and get our coolest new features out there. We've even got features that we haven't released yet that we've been developing over the summer and over the last few weeks that we're going to release between now and game week 1. So keep your eyes peeled. There's more to come. I think that this summer was better than last summer for one big reason, and that is because this summer we got a deal with Opta to be able to present their numbers on our site and use their numbers in our projection pipeline. That partnership has been amazing. I think given the tool a whole kind of new lease of life. I'm using the tool in different ways than I was before. I hope other people are too. It's just, I'm super, super excited about it and building new stuff. Previously we were just building planning stuff and it was quite focused about FPL planning. I think now we're building something bigger. We're building a real platform that people can use in multiple ways, not just planning FPL, but learning about FPL, seeing what players are up to, learning more about the players. It's super exciting. We're having a great time.
Of course we are. You know what I love about the Opta section is it's not just data, right? I mean, how it's been presented visually is what's really cool. And you were going to talk about one of the features that are your favorite on the Opta section.
Yes, my favorite by far is, I think maybe my favorite section of the whole tool now is our shot map on Opta, which Jonny's got up here. I mean, we've got a bunch of other stuff, but I'll keep it focused on the shot map. I think we've gone and created the best shot map in not just in the FPL ecosystem, in football. I mean, this is amazing. I'll start by saying I think shots, like just looking at shots and looking at shot patterns, is a bit underrated by analytics. We have all of these really, really useful meta stats like XG, and XG is obviously amazing and really useful and has information that is difficult to get to by just looking at a shot map. But the shots actually do provide predictive value on top of XG. Seeing repeatable patterns that players have, like taking lots of shots from the same areas or just having a really, really high shot volume, alongside good XG, often indicates that they're going to keep getting more XG in the future. So we built this shot map. This shot map it's all that you'd want from a shot map. It's got all of the positions, all the types of shots, all of the end
like
points.
The 3D
of the shots.
effect going on here.
And we've got exactly. I don't know. Maybe this is the first one to do this, but we've got 3D renders of every single shot. I mean, this is like
you're looking at the shot
stuff.
From the eyes of Holland. Like this is what.
Yeah,
you've got
I know.
Here.
It's like you're there on the pitch, and you're not even there. You're like a god who can see everything from all angles. And it's just I have spent, I think, countless hours just kind of being hypnotized by these 3D shot renders. You can even see the goalkeeper position. Look at that. I mean, it's I'm so excited about this. There's even more that we can do with the Opta data section. It's so cool. We want to rethink the game and really bring new ways of viewing data, understanding data, and applying this data to FPL. It's so exciting.
Jonny, you had a point to make, right? I mean, like when I looked at the shot data,
but yeah, go on.
yeah, you were like, oh, let me look at that shot that Haaland scored with, which was when I didn't captain him.
Yes, so essentially what James was saying about this is something that I talked with Rob about when we were doing our prediction model, is that actually seeing, shots. We measure shot quality with expected goals. So actually, like, it gives you more detail than just the number of shots that were taken or where they were taken from. We can actually measure things with XG there. But XG it's very accurate at predicting goals. It's very accurate at predicting itself and at predicting stuff going forward. But it can be quite slow to generate that big sample. So sometimes we're looking for stuff that you want to update more quickly. So the number of shots that a player is taking, if a player is taking lots of shots in good areas, that will give us more signal more quickly than the expected goals will. So the expected goals is more accurate, but we want a larger sample for that. But if you have two that are kind of generating the similar number of shots, then a similar XG, then the shots will give you more value. So this is really useful for set pieces. The set pieces we know are very repeatable, but don't have a huge sample for them. So, in fact, a lot of set pieces will be aimed at someone, but they don't get a good shot off or they don't make a clean connection. So who the target of the set piece is, who's getting shots off from set pieces, so as headed shots from corners essentially, will give us a quicker way to update, okay, who's more likely to then get the next chunk of XG from a corner and then therefore the goal. So actually you can use stuff like that to kind of dig in more detail. So we have varying update speeds for varying statistics in terms of their predictability. So shot volume, for example, is one. XG, very good. But yeah, if you can combine it with more, you can actually get a clearer picture, especially when there's new players to the league. We want to see how they're adapting in the first 4 or 5 weeks. And 4 or 5 games of XG is not always super useful, but actually you can generate a bigger sample by taking something that happens more frequently, like getting into a good position or taking shots or that kind of thing is always a nice way to kind of balance two. But yeah.
Yeah, I certainly think people should dabble in this with, the comparison stuff, the graphs, but the maps are super cool as well. So, that was nice. And obviously, this was one of the comments in, I think the video the week before was, of course, this data will update as the season starts, right? So after 6 weeks, you can compare the first 6 weeks or versus the season, and lots of good stuff will be coming. But we'll talk through it. But if you do want to get access to the Opta stuff, then you have to be a pro tier member, fpl.solioanalytics.com. This wasn't even a planned ad. Did you see how smooth this was? Like, this was like
very professional.
You're a pro.
fpl.solioanalytics.com. Have a look and see if you like it. So it's not just about FPL planning. You can do some football stuff as well. So moving on, let's talk about the agenda. So we're going to talk about preseason. A lot of stuff happened over the weekend, some more relevant than others, although Johnny's list includes the less relevant ones as well. We will skip over those very quickly. Then we will look at a few chip strategies. We're not going to be saying, is free hit better than bench boost 6 or whatever, but we're going to show you how the Solio way is to think about the different chip strategies. What are you actually taking on? What are you not taking on? Which teams are you backing? Which teams are you taking a risk for or against? That kind of stuff. We want to take you through the analysis tab. Then, of course, what the public wants is what is James's latest draft. We will be looking at that. What is his chip strategy? He will be revealing it all in an hour. So stay tuned for that. And then we have some Q&A. So for those of you who are not aware, we have a Discord, which is for the Solio users. It's free to join. And in that Discord, you can essentially pose your questions. And a lot of them, as expected, are for James. So, we'll be going through those as well.
Yeah, I'll put the link for the Discord in the description, but it's also available. Actually, I can show you. So if you go to the settings and then go to the tour and go to the second page, then our Discord link is right here. I've had a few people asking for it. But yes, we will start with a quick recap of what's happened. So I've got a list. Basically, there's been transfers. I mean, surprisingly, it's the summer. Transfer window's open. We are also
throw it at us and we will react
through the way into game week. Game week 2 is the last game week before the transfer window closes.
Yeah. After game week 2, the transfer window
which is a bit earlier than normal. I feel like normally it's like 3 or 4, but anyway.
It's normally 5, but we're starting later in the season, right? Because of the World Cup.
Yeah. So Bruno Guimaraes has joined Arsenal. That's quite a big one. We've had Luca Digne has gone.
Wait, on Bruno Guimaraes, the public wants to know, will they stop seeing him in the solves now?
They probably will. Yeah, I think some people thought that him moving to Arsenal would make him a better FPL asset because Arsenal are better. But what we do see sometimes is that his minutes are going to be less secure, probably. Well, he's not the club captain, so I'd assume it goes down. We had him on decent penalty share at Newcastle,
especially after Gordon went.
Yeah, so he never really had like full claim of the penalties. He was always he's always on the pitch. So if Gordon was off, then he could take them after him. Maltamada took some. He might not always play. So he was never like the taker. I'd be very surprised if he takes any at Arsenal because they've got Gyökeres who likes taking them. Saka's quite good. Actually, maybe his like total goals goes up a little bit because his goal share's fairly similar and he might be further forward, but overall, sadly, not as good an asset. And also takes up an Arsenal spot. So some people wanted 4 Arsenal. Too late now. He's moved. But yeah, you probably weren't picking any other Newcastle picks, I'd imagine. So
no. So Bruno not in your thinking as well, James, right?
No. I mean, I've not even thought of him at all until you just mentioned his name.
Let's move on to the next.
We only have so many Arsenal spots.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he's not super relevant, sadly. I mean, you think he'll be a pick at points, and he's not. He's playing for Arsenal. He's good, and if he might suddenly start taking corners, we don't know.
There's a world where him and Rice are basically playing every single game, and there's Zubomendi is just like a backup.
Rice gets a long-term injury, and Bruno is Rice from last season and better.
Exactly.
FPL favourite Luca Digne has officially gone.
No interest.
It does leave Ian Matson as the only left back really at the minute, but they're in for Ruggeri.
Didn't they sign somebody from Atletico? I keep reading some news.
I think he's going to join. I don't think it's official yet, but I think that's one that they rotated lots anyway, so that's not super relevant.
Yeah,
but he has gone.
We don't like Matson.
One to monitor. Palace have bought some defenders. They've got Tomiyasu. So he's probably not super relevant, but it does make the defence a bit stronger for like Canvo and Richards. There's links of Munoz to Everton.
That was strange. And why would Everton want... I know they're desperate for a right back.
Well, they swapped Dwight McNeil for Brennan Johnson as well.
That made sense for no one, but at least, everyone has a change of scenery.
Maybe it was a deal involving Munoz or something. I'm not sure. So, yeah, not much there. Coventry have bought 2 new... Well, they've bought Urenchi, who was the guy who played for... He scored in the World Cup for Ghana. I don't think he scored against England, but he scored... Was it against England? He's a Ghanaian defensive mid. He scored a goal.
Okay.
That's pretty strong. And Gus Harmer might be back. But I think these aren't picks that we're really looking at too much. But I think they had a couple of 4.5 mids who now aren't as nailed as they would have been. So maybe watch out for that. Fulham, we'll talk about Fulham. Fulham have bought some players.
Do we have to?
Gonzalo Garcia. They've bought a striker who has an okay penalty record, so might take them.
Yeah.
Probably should start. They've also
what was he on? Like 0.59 goals per 90 at Real Madrid? Obviously, that's biased because he was like a super sub.
Yeah.
But that stat in itself sounds good, right?
He had a pretty good run at the Club World Cup, which I know is a small sample, but Mbappe got injured and he sort of held his own against, big teams. They played like Dortmund and whoever. And they've bought Shea Charles as well, who I think should slot in at defensive mid.
More on Garcia later.
More on Garcia. Garcia's one to monitor, yeah. Hull have bought some more mids. I don't really know who's going to play for Hull, but they've got Stroud and Kyoto Dahl.
Do we still think they're the team that'll get battered? That's what I want to know.
I don't think it makes them
change any team strength.
Better.
Do I need to move them anywhere?
Just leave them where they are. I think they're fine.
Okay, fine.
But they're both good players, so they might end up being potential picks for cheap later.
They have bought a lot, so it's a bit like people will say, "Are they doing the Sunderland?" But it's just not the same quality as what Sunderland bought, right?
No, if you look at who Sunderland was buying from, they got Mukiele from PSG, who'd been at Leipzig. They bought Pietrida from Leipzig. They bought Xhaka from Bayer Leverkusen. These are Champions League teams. And no disrespect to the elite Serie and the Allsvenskan as a fantasy manager in both leagues, but that's where Stroud and Kyoto Dahl are from. So they're some of the better players in those leagues, but we don't normally see a player come from the Swedish or Norwegian league and look amazing in the Premier League straight away. So I'd be surprised if they're as impactful as some of Sunderland's signings were, but we'll see. Lukic to Ipswich, big move involving Fulham and Ipswich. He's quite good for DEFCONs, but I don't think he's that relevant. Liverpool, Araujo, they have got a player. So their defence is falling apart, going back together. What do you think, James? Araujo? Liverpool fan?
He's a player.
He is. You needed the body.
Yeah.
That's all you needed.
I thought, oh, okay, that looks like a solid signing until I saw the reaction from.
Honestly, I saw that as well. That was crazy.
From everyone online. Yeah, it seems like the people who are more familiar with him, the more familiar with him people are, the less they like him. So we'll see. It's another defender, right? And two fit centre backs is better than one.
It is.
But I'm still some ways away from feeling optimistic about our defence at the start of the coming season.
Yeah, we'll see. Iraola's pretty good. I'm sure he'll find... He's done quite well at bringing on some of the younger players. We might see that Ramsey gets a starting spell at right back and actually grows into it. We saw that with, Conor Bradley before and things like that. But yeah, he's still... I'm not sure where the centre-backs are to come through in the same way, but we'll see. Forest have basically signed Diamande. That's pretty much done.
That's a good one.
So yeah, I think that'll be pretty strong for them. They'll play Murillo, Milenkovic, Diamande pretty much across the back three.
It's worth saying that both Diamande and Araujo haven't been priced yet, right? So we don't really know if...
Yes. Yeah, they're not in the game.
They're not in the game yet.
So if you're listening, Mark Southerns, then where are they?
Get going. Let's
get going. Yes, please. We'll see. And then, other stuff like Hume's been playing right wing. People have been spotting. He finished the season. Let's try Hume for Sunderland. They're definitely in the market for a right winger, but he's a 4.5 defender who played right wing towards the end of last season fairly regularly and has carried on doing it in pre-season. And crucially, he's scored a goal. I think that's usually what
very crucially
piques people's interest. But he could be one to watch. I think the issue is that his attacking threat's not super high. He's not on set. Well, he takes some corners, I think, and some crosses. But a 4.5 defender playing right mid isn't as good as they used to be, because a 5.0 centre back is now arguably better with the DEFCONs if they can do that. So, want to watch maybe, but I think he's not secure at right wing. They have other options who are coming back from the World Cup.
He's one of that short term, if you wanted to bench boost. He's playing Ipswich game week 1. I can see why people would just
if you need him for 1 week.
Who cares?
Maybe, yeah. Palestra was being picked up by a few people, but people spotting how Marcus Alonso-esque he was playing for Chelsea. he could be one to one. I still can't really
But
work
Chelsea
out the Chelsea
in general,
squad.
I think so. From preseason friendlies, like, less notable that João Pedro scored, or Palmer was doing a lot of sort of, spending time near the centre circle. I think more notable was it was the first time they set up a back five, with Neto playing the right wing back position. Now that could be Quinda when he comes back. It could be Pelestri who comes here, and on the left side somebody else plays. So it could be either, but it looks like Pelestri is the guy who's going to be that attacking guy from one side. And yeah, Chelsea are still looking okay, but yeah, they're playing this 2 10s and a forward. In this case, Welbeck started, and then João Pedro and Palmer were playing behind them. It could equally be João Pedro up top, and it could be Rodgers and Palmer. It could be Palmer and Estevao. Like, there's lots of options there, and it sounds like it's a fluid 3 at the back or 4 at the back, but ultimately the system just does what Xavi Alonso wants them to do. So we're still learning there.
Yeah.
And Palmer hasn't done any goals, so nothing to talk about.
I think they're also still looking at, is it Echevarria? I forgot what his name is. There's another left back that they're looking at.
Yeah,
but then he might not be as attacking, so maybe he's the left wing back and Palestra is attacking from the right, or vice versa. So he's possibly too risky to start with, but he's certainly one to watch because he's attacking wing backs for Chelsea have been very good. The only other couple of ones is like Goodmanson has picked up a bit of an injury for Leeds, so it looks like they kind of had 6 players to fit into their back 5 with a few backups. So like Bornau is a pretty sort of set backup rather than a starter. But now it looks like Justin's going to play left wing back, Bogle right wing back. So Rodon looks pretty nailed for that right centre back. Biol looks
if they play 3 at the back or 5 at the back.
That. They have played it quite a lot at the end of last season, and it was working really well. Like they had a big uptick when they switched to that. So yeah, they could switch to a back 4, but I think it'll probably just be Justin left wing back. So Rodon he maybe had a small doubt of like maybe they play James Justin right centre back. They've done that before. So Rodon's maybe like a bit more nailed for the first couple. And the only other thing is that Haaland is, well, people are worrying about Haaland. He has just arrived in Manchester, as we said.
He has just arrived. Our sources tell us 20 minutes ago he posted from Manchester's sunny garden of his, and so he's back in Manchester.
So is he ready? That's the only thing we're waiting on, I guess.
We will see.
Shield
I guess we're all waiting for the Community Shield. Yeah. How many minutes are we predicting then, James? How many minutes does he get in the Community Shield?
The nearest second.
Tough one to call. To the nearest second, I'm going to say 27 minutes and 5 seconds.
Oh, that's low.
Okay.
I was going to say like 40. Is 40 too high?
40? I guess 40 is a good like average, but is he going to play 40? Like, why would he play 40?
Okay, call it 30. What I was going to say is either he'll come on at halftime or soon after. So that's that's where I went with the average.
Specific predictions.
Fine. 35.
Okay. I'll say 40. I'm joking. Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like now that everyone's seen what no Haaland drafts look like and think that they're quite nice, and also that there's a nice way out of it to get to him for Coventry in game week 3, then I mean, even if he plays 90, does that mean like he's ready to play Bournemouth? Is that okay?
Yeah. 90 would mean he's ready.
Yeah, but then, like, well, I suppose he's ready, but, like, he might not start him. He might be like, okay, well, I'll use this free game to play him here, and then play him on at Bournemouth, and then put him back in training.
Yeah, I get so. Maybe. I guess so. I mean, this is where new manager, we're all sort of building narratives, right? I mean, if it's Pep can do whatever he wants. Because it's Maresca, he's new manager... Scared. He loses 2 games as the first 2 games in the season, and people are like, what the hell is this guy doing? So I feel like he's under more pressure. There is no substance to what I'm saying here, but under more pressure to just start him. Like get going. Score me some goals.
There's going to be a lot more question marks if he does something really weird, like plays him for 90 minutes and then drops him for Bournemouth. Then people will be like, even if it worked, like, why are you doing that? Okay, fair enough.
It's likelier you don't start him, you start off with a draw against Bournemouth and people go, this guy's an idiot, man. So there's stuff around that where I just think that he's likely to start, but he could get 55 minutes in game week 1, but that's for next week. We'll predict his minutes for game week 1 after we've seen Community Shield. I have another one from Arsenal. So we learned that Timber is weeks away. Now, this may be news to some or not news to others, but it was always like, Timber could be back. He's spotted around the training center. But to say weeks away, Well, it's not 1 week. Otherwise, you'd say a week away. And it's Arteta, right? So I just thought it was, in my head, it changed the pecking order in terms of if you wanted to go for a non-Gabriel defender, I felt maybe Ben White is a better pick, especially if they're still in the market for a Konza and you are going to game week 1, not be burnt by the Konza announcement 2 hours after the game week 1 deadline. Then Ben White isn't a bad option either.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could always play Mosquera right back. They've done it occasionally.
They have literally no other right centre back. That's the
well,
problem.
if they're by Konsa.
Yeah, but okay, then they're going into a secondary order thing where first Konza has to replace Mosquera and then Mosquera replaces Ben White. Like he can just play Ben White.
I'm sure he will play Ben White, but just being cautious.
Of course you are. Of course.
Yeah. So just get Calafiori. He's 5.5.
Yeah, because Hincapié exists.
Nah, he's fine. He's had a whole summer off. That's what people are saying.
Is that what your order is? You'd go Calafiori 1, Mosquera 2, White 3?
I'd go Raya, I think, first. That allowed?
Yeah. Ignore Raya for now. We all love Raya. This is a safe space for Raya.
I don't know who I'd go for, actually. I mean, like there's a reason why Gabriel's an extra 2 million. You can't really just say, like, well, I'll just go for Gabriel. Like, no,
you can't.
I think I probably would start with Calafiori. But I think that's probably because I'd be happy with an early wild card. So I think for 2 weeks, I'd be like, okay, I can go for Calafiori.
I like White. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see when we get to my draft.
Right.
But I am. I'm very. I'm going to keep. No, I won't keep it that close to my chest because we're still. I mean,
James is a bit consa.
10 days out. I am really interested in Arsenal defenders. I think there is some edge in Arsenal defenders. I tend to. It seems like there's a pattern over the last couple of years where I just start. I start every season with multiple Arsenal defenders, and it seems to work out really well every time. So I'm very interested in. I'm interested in Mosquera. I'm interested in Calafiori, and I'm very, very interested in Raya.
As we all should be.
Of course we are. Of course we are. Other news, Sesko was still not back, although he's back in training, but he wasn't back for the preseason friendly. So Mbeumo played up top again, and it just means that... So Man United have 2 more preseason friendlies, so it'll be one midweek, I think tomorrow, or by the time you're listening later today, and then another one on the weekend. So we'll see if Sesko gets enough minutes, but it just changes a little bit of positional share in terms of Mbeumo, and I do think... If he's starting up top against Hull, that just makes it a very, very, very tasty
People are
fixture.
very interested. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think people have realised that, like, just Bruno against Hull is maybe, well, actually, maybe I should get some more.
Like, you could really cash in there. But, of course, you never know with these teams. It is unpredictable, right? I mean, Hull could definitely show up first home game of the season. But that's for game week 1 again. And final thing from me is Wirtz keep scoring the goals. Yeah. And but more importantly, again, I don't want to sort of preseason form matters for minutes, I suppose. But I think what's important is it's a new manager. We're trying to guess what's his role, and so what we're seeing is there's a lot of Krupi Junior kind of thing going on where he's very close to Isak. And Raiola also said in a couple of press comments that he's trying for Wirtz to be in the box a lot more, not just create the chances because he has enough players who can do that. So. Something in there if you wanted to play around with versus numbers, minutes, stuff around that. And both, I think it's good for the game that both Mbeumo and Wirtz are doing well, as was Isak, by the way, got a goal and assist as well.
I think even from a minutes perspective, like he does look a bit more secure in that 10 spot than he did last season. Like I think it looks like he doesn't really want to put Szoboszlai or McAllister there, and Szoboszlai fits better as one of the pivots who can sort of break forward. Whereas last season, occasionally he was the attacking mid and Wirtz went out wide, but he's actually got some wingers now. He's bought Munoz. Rio's looking quite good. Gakpo can play there. Might buy Barcola. So like Wirtz is probably going to be that 10 for most of the games. Whereas before he moved around a little bit, didn't really find a spot. I remember when he first signed, we were trying to work out like, is he going to be the attacking mid or the winger or the 9 even in some cases. So it was quite hard to kind of pinpoint how to project him. Whereas now it looks like, should be pretty strong at the 10 and that looks good. And he's not, it's cheaper than last season too.
Yeah, I mean,
very much
that's down the back stretch of last season when he was playing centrally, he was really good. I mean, like he was actually really good. He got a lot of flack for the first half of the season and maybe rightfully so, but actually for the last for the last few months of the season, he was a really, really solid. I mean, not quite like nobody owned him in FPL because I think Liverpool never really got a kind of a clean run of fixtures, and he was
everyone had Szoboszlai.
I mean, also everyone has Szoboszlai. Yeah, that's true. But I think he's been good for a while. I think Wirtz is gonna play a serious role this season.
Nice, I like that.
Shall we look at some...
more on Liverpool from you, James?
Yes.
Later when we look at your draft, because I was quite intrigued to see your Liverpool picks. So, any other thing from preseason this weekend?
I'm sure we've probably missed like the biggest thing by mistake. That's how the list goes. I went through and I wrote down Sasha Lukic to Ipswich, and then I'd forgotten that Šeško had missed out and Timber wasn't fit. So there you go.
Yeah. Suddenly Semenyo is also a darling because he's got a few assists.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he's good. He's good. He's
very
top
good on the
nick.
left. But then he can play on the right. Savio's looked quite good on the right. So presumably, probably those two into three spots because Doku comes back. Doku left, Semenyo right. Or maybe they go with Doku and Savio. I don't know. Menu number 9.
Yeah,
no
much
Haaland,
to learn in the community shield.
We'll see. We'll see what he does.
Exactly. Right. Let's go to our chip section, which is essentially looking at how you do you make these branches. Now, people don't freak out. If you're on the podcast, we will try to describe what it is. And even if you're on YouTube, you don't need to get into each of this branch. This is all Jonny's sort of back work. But talk us through it, Jonny. Like what is this, and how can people build this, and how can people analyze this stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, like we can just build them all at the start. So you just click the create, and it'll make a new branch for you. So we'll have a larger horizon just to start with. Excuse me. So up to like 8-10 game weeks is probably fine for just checking a few things out. If you want to do a full chip solve, you can do it across 19 game weeks if you want to. But essentially what I was building out first was a lot of people are looking at this like early wildcard in 3 or 4. But people are deciding between so that they can get the most out of their bench boost early. So bench boost 1, wildcard 2 seems a little too aggressive, even though you get your sort of free hit bench boost in 1. But these first 2 fixtures, especially for the Man United players who play Ipswich and Hull, or Hull and Ipswich rather in that order. But people have looked at bench boost 2 because Coventry are playing Hull and they're at home and they're really cheap. So if I wanted to compare these two, actually the score at the end is basically the same. Like,
basically,
if I just add up the points, then like you're not getting any more points from one or the other, which is fine because like the wild card's going to be basically the same.
So it's really the first 2 weeks.
Maybe you got more team value in one of them and that affords you an extra player or something or whatever. But yeah, basically if you play bench boost in one of the first 2 weeks and then wildcard in 3, the first 2 weeks is the only thing that's different, right?
So just to hold on before you go to the next step.
Oh.
For the very new users, how did you set up in each of the branch a bench boost chip and a wildcard chip?
Right. So we've made this new branch at the bottom.
Yep.
So it would be a sort of default. So there's a little chip thing up here I can select.
Yeah. So you go to the shared screen and you just select your chip.
So this is the week that I've picked. So this is the sort of one I'm selecting in this tree over here. And then this is the lineup view. So game week 1, in this branch, I can select bench boost or triple captain. I can't free hit.
And this is before you solve. You're just essentially telling the solver what are the variables.
So bench boost in game week 1, and then I want to wildcard in game week 3, and then I'll just leave it at that. So let's say I'd save my free hit and triple captain for later.
Yeah, just do that.
And then I'll go back to game week 1 and I'll press optimize. And this should generate a solution. I can do some more customizations if I wanted to. So actually it might come up with here, I think at the minute we're getting Richarlison suggestions because Spurs are like in for a striker and Solanke's a bit injured.
He's got top of the penalty pecking order.
Currently, Richarlison's like, if the season started now, they're going to have to play Richarlison. So by the start of the season, we're not expecting that, possibly. So I can easily click on him and click ban. Or if I go to the optimize tab, then I've got loads of customizations in the setup. I can even pick if I want more risk. I want to lock some players, ban some players.
This is too advanced. We'll come to that.
Sorry,
we'll come to that. So on a very basic level, so you select your chip strategies, you create a branch, and you just optimize the first game week, right? You guys don't need to go into the wildcard and then optimize that. It's just literally the first game week, wherever you are today, which is game week 1. So that's the way to think about one. So now go back to your original 2 branches, which was set up in exact the same way. So what you did was, the first one has bench boost 1, the second one has bench boost 2. Yes. Both of them are wildcard 3. Yep. So how do I analyze this from a point of view of risk?
So if I look at the whole horizon, so I'll put it on let's say 8 weeks. What I can do is I can go to our analysis tab, and this will show me we've got swing and health and risk, just some more details essentially on what's in this draft and what potential pitfalls there are. So the health is we haven't really got any weak spots in this team because it's been fully optimized with
it's a new wildcard.
No restrictions. It's a new wildcard. We've got a couple of times that we run a little tight on transfers or in the bank value. I guess part of that is that, we've got a planned transfer on the left here. So if I zoom in, we wildcard in 3 and we set up Semenyo to Palmer, which has no money left. But I can make that decision in game week 3. This might highlight to me, oh, yes, you've got a sort of tight transfer value, but I can look at that and go, I know that I can make an adjustment easily for that. But it'll flag it to me. And what it also does is it lets me kind of see who I'm picking, who I'm betting on. So I can see that by looking at the lineup. I can look at who's in the team and see that, there's a lot of Arsenal there. We've got, I was going to say John O'Shea, Darragh O'Shea on the bench. No Haaland. We've got Bomo and Bruno Fernandes. But here I can kind of go in and see okay, who am I betting for against the field? So we have some projected ownership numbers in here that are based on the current overall sample. So I can see a full breakdown. So you can see that, I've got Gabriel and the field has 26% ownership for Gabriel. So I get a lot of points from Gabriel against the field. Well, projected points. See if he does the points or not.
And assuming this takes into account any future owners of Gabriel or...
Yes. So if people start to buy him, we've got some projections for that. So, as more people buy him, we'll update that or sell him or vice versa. But we can see here. So this is over this 8 weeks sample that I've got here. So we can see that we don't own Rodgers, and Rodgers is quite highly owned. So we won't have him on the wild card. We don't have him in game week 4 in our team. We don't have Rodgers. So with this plan, we're betting against Morgan Rodgers. So then what I can do is, because we know that game week 3 onwards is the same in both of these plans, if I'm looking for the difference, I can bring this all the way down to just the 2 game weeks. And I can see just for those 2. So we see that it ends there. It's just the 2 weeks. Then we can see who I'm betting on. So for the first 2 weeks. Yeah. So because I'm captaining Bruno in game week 1, because I don't have Haaland, if Haaland... Currently we're projecting Haaland to be quite highly captained, but we'll have to see on the minutes. So we're betting for Bruno and against Haaland are our biggest bets. What this will count into is how big is the bet that you're making. So how many points... Haaland's predicted a lot of points, and he's predicted a lot of captaincy. So that's a big bet. Whereas if I click on the breakdown, we can see further down, I'm betting against Mark Gahey a bit, because I don't have Man City defenders, and some people will have Mark Gahey. But it's a much smaller bet. It's actually, if Mark Gahey gets a clean sheet, that's bad for me because I don't have City defenders, but it's not disastrous. Whereas if Haaland got a hat-trick, I'd be in big trouble here. And what we can actually see between this bench boost 1 approach and the bench boost 2 approach is that my key bets are the same. So actually, the big things that I'm doing in this difference are not massive. But if I go further down, we can see that in this one, I am betting on Haji Wright and Rushworth and Van Avik from Coventry, which I'm not betting on in the top one. But they're very similar. So actually, that might not be something that changes it for me. If I go to the team view, you can see that it's heavy on Man United, kind of heavy against City, and then we've got Coventry popping up a bit further down. So it looks like I'm betting a lot on Coventry here because I've got 3 players, but I only play them on the bench boost, and I only play 3 of them, and they're not predicting they're not the bulk of my points. So it can help me decide. If I don't back Coventry, then I might prefer this one. Whereas if I do back Coventry, or I want to make that bet, but it's actually quite a small portion of my overall bets that I'm making, I suppose.
But I think the one thing to point out...
Yeah,
go on.
Sorry. I'll say I think one interesting thing from these numbers is how much more almost like diversified the game week the bench boost one teams are. Like it seems like your bets are kind of spread across more secondary teams like Everton, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, whereas the bench boost 2 is just like you're throwing all of that kind of into Coventry. And yeah, I don't know. That strikes me as very interesting, and kind of has a lot of connotations around risk as well.
I think it makes sense if you look at the teams. Like we've got this triple up from Coventry, whereas if I go to the bench boost, I've swapped that for a Sunderland player and an Ipswich player, so they're playing each other. So I've picked a defender and a goalkeeper from opposition teams. So I'm betting. Well, I guess the defenders aren't playing each other in quite the same way, but I've spread them out. I've not swapped triple Coventry for triple Ipswich, for example, which would be keeping the bundles together. It is spread out, yeah. So that's a good point.
So what else can we do on the analysis tab? So what I was going to say is, so this particular example, bench boost 1, bench boost 2, doesn't actually blend itself too much into the who are you taking on. So if we look at maybe another example where we go free hit 3 versus free hit 4 kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'll bring the horizon back out to 8 weeks, but I've got a couple down here that are one with free hit 3 I've got in here. So I went to the lineup. I just put in free hit 3 on this one in the drop down, and I solved across the whole thing. And then this one's got free hit 4. So you can see the drafts are kind of fairly similar. This one's got a bit more Chelsea in it. This one's got a bit more Man City in it, and that kind of bears in the bets. So Man City, we're quite high on here because we need to play through game week 3. Whereas in this one, our Man City bets come right down. Whoa. So we're betting big against Man City because we only really have them in this game week 3. We have Guehi, Semenyo and Haaland in a free hit 3, but I go without them otherwise. Whereas in game week 4 is kind of the same, but actually with Chelsea. But I must have a bit of Chelsea in here. Or maybe
what this also shows
Chelsea in game week 4. Yeah.
What this also shows is, I think, regardless of the team that you're starting with, whether you're having Man City or not, Man City are right at the top of this graphic, which means they are like the most, or the second most consequential team out of the field. So regardless of what happens, regardless of who scores points, I think Man City and how Man City do are going to be one of the biggest determining factors of the winners and the losers of this opening part of the FPL season.
Yeah, so I should say, just to explain this bar chart here, then the sort of full bar is the ones that I own more than the field, and this kind of like dotted bar is the one that the field own more than me. So the sum of both is the kind of the impact of that team. So Man City's ownership bar for me here is really small compared to Chelsea's, but their total impact's really high because there's lots of times where I don't own Man City when they're popular. So in game week 1 and 2, I don't have Haaland, whereas I do have him in free hit 3. So they're not very impactful for me owning them, but they are still very impactful for going against them. And that's partly because they're going to be highly owned. So either you own them and go with it, or you don't own them and everyone else has owned them and gone with it. And we might see that change. People might get cold feet on them, or Coventry might look amazing for 2 weeks, so then we decide that we don't want to triple captain them in game week 3 or whatever. But it's just a nice way to break down who am I betting on. So if you've got a few drafts that you're looking at, you might look at this and go, oh, actually, yeah, I do kind of fancy Everton to have a good start. Then I'm happy with that. Whereas go to this one. This one's got more Everton. My mistake. I want this one. This one's got more Everton. Then I could do that. So that's a nice way to kind of see if it fits your beliefs with your plan.
Exactly.
Or maybe you build a plan out and you look at this and go, oh, I didn't realize I had more Crystal Palace than everyone else. I don't really like because I can take some of them out because people have less. As an example, I like Crystal Palace. Yeah. That was hypothetical. Sorry, Crystal Palace.
No, so I was going to say, I think, so this is a sample of course, when everybody's on wildcard, it's a little bit of a different play than when you're sitting in game week 7 and you're trying to do a diagnostic of your team. So the vision for this tab really was for somebody sitting in game week 8, you've played your wildcard, you're now really thinking about your next moves, that you do a little bit of diagnostic on your team. And if you go right all the way up, you talked about this briefly, but I do want to spend a couple of minutes on it. It gives you an overall health, which is important because I feel after the wildcard, you see a lot of teams taking more risk, more minutes risk, more players that are, not starters on a weekly basis. And it's like a little dashboard that's telling you maybe you should be more minute secure. Maybe you need more Szoboszlais in your life and Pascal Grosses or Bruno Fernandez's in your life than the more flair players. So I think it's a very important thing to have just a little eye on this stuff. It's also a very important thing once you've wildcarded and then you've made your bets. But it's an ongoing game. It's changing. EO is changing every single week. So the vision here is game week 12, 13, you're thinking of two transfers. One is a high EO player, one is a low EO player. You tend to think about, okay, which team do I want to make that bet with? So I think this analysis tape has a lot of potential as you go along, not just for your wildcard. And we wanted to spend a few minutes here just so that you get used to this as you're thinking about decisions, because it's all about, there is no right answer. That's not what Solio Analytics is about. It's about what answer leads you to what bet, and what does that mean in terms of your belief, and does that align with your belief? And so I would encourage people to spend time on the analysis tab, get comfortable with it. It's not one of those gimmicky things, I have a red health warning, so whatever. It's actually it's a shoulder. It's an unbiased friend. I always say analytics is an unbiased friend who's looking at your team and telling you stuff. You can take it, you can ignore it. It's up to you. It's your team. So, I think really great stuff with this tab, and I hope people use it as we've intended it.
I think it'll help us take us away a little bit. I think in the past, some analytics managers, I'll include myself in this, got too focused on the fact that, like, if I put this plan in, this is a deterministic plan for one, so it's literally assuming everything goes right all the way through. I don't make any changes. I don't have to change tact. But this free hit 3-1 versus the free hit 4-1, there's like 1.3 points in difference over the first 8 weeks.
Which is nothing. It's a yellow card.
Which used to be, to me, was like, this one's better. I need to like maximize that specifically. But there's so much more to it in terms of one, like, this one's got loads of transfers booked in there, for example. But also, like, this one lets me bet heavily against Man City. This one lets me maybe keep them if I want to. So, like, there's so much more extra layers to it. So I think in the past, we used to see chip timing and looking at stuff in the second half of the season. And when there's big blanks and doubles, there will be a difference between different chip strategies of 10 plus points. Like, that's enough. That's big. You're like, okay, I don't want to take this really dodgy path because I'm giving up so many potential points there. Whereas through a string of single game weeks, there's so many different ways to pick the path. And actually, if you pick one that scores almost as well, but it suits what you want to bet on, and you make sure you play it well, that's going to be way more important than trying to find this extra 1 point here between the differences. Because there's different opinions on the projections. This one might be fragile to something going wrong over here. You want to really dig into that. So I think, pick your strategy based on which teams you want to go with, and also your play style. So maybe like people are looking at bench boost. Bench boost 1 actually doesn't score super highly on our projections compared to like a bench boost a 12 or something. But it does mean that you can play it in 1 and you're done. But then your opinion is, okay, I don't have to assess every week to play the bench boost. Whereas for an extra 5 points, maybe I can say, okay, well, you between game week 6 and 15, you have to check if you can play it every week. So is that worth 5 points to you, or do you think that's more likely to mess you up by more than 5 points? And so it fits your play style, fits who you want to play with, fits who you want to bet on. If there's 1 point in it, and you can bet on your favourite team and bet against your least favourite team, then that's a valid reason as any to pick more Liverpool or pick more Man United or that kind of thing. But yes.
Nice.
That's the idea.
Anything to add, James, on the analysis tab? What's your what do you frequent with when you're running your branches?
I would like to say, on a high level, the reason why the thinking, the motivation behind building the Solio tool is to give FPL managers the maximum possible understanding of the decisions that they're making. And that's understanding of what's going on, of what their plans that they've made are, the understanding of how their beliefs, what their beliefs imply about players' projections, and understanding how to make their beliefs consistent with each other. Like this, like a lot of this stuff is, I wouldn't even almost like, it's analytics, but it's not like hard numbers and stats. Our hope is really that people can use this to almost play the way, absolutely to play the way that they want to play. right? Which is really what we're all about at Solio. We want people to play well. I think that's great, but also we want people to play the way that they want to play. And if that's making big bets on Arsenal defence and betting against Haaland, then that's important. If it's playing risky or playing in a way that's solid and doesn't, take on minutes risks, that's, that people have the right to do that too.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is why we built the analysis tab, is to really help people to understand what they're planning.
Right, guys. Now it's the time.
That was a good segue into James's team, saying if you want to bet
give
on,
the people what they want, what the crowd is here for.
Should we
Go
build
on
it
now,
out?
James, the floor is yours.
Okay, let's build it out. In goal, there will be no surprises here. Johnny's already got it. It's David Raya. Let's just put the next two in. Let's go. Gabriel, of course, and currently Mosquera.
He's not afraid.
So
of
Konsa. I'm not afraid of anyone.
Konsa should be afraid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes it sound like I'm going to do something serious, but no. I think the FPL managers right now. I'm surprised I'm not seeing more Raya in drafts, I have to say. Arsenal have the best defence in the league by a sizable margin, and that means that Arsenal defenders are generally very good. Obviously, they're more expensive. And if you have a really constrained budget, it makes it difficult to afford them. But if you make a few compromises elsewhere in your team, as we'll see,
small ones,
it makes really ones that easy to agree on. I think it makes decisions like these actually really easy to make. I think for me. What else to say? Yeah, after the decision, after the chat earlier, Konsa and I don't know, uncertainty about maybe who the best third Arsenal defender is. I could definitely see myself just going for two and maybe going for, I don't know, Luke Shaw or Neco Williams in that spot, but I would really like to start with three Arsenal defenders. And if
do you have a chip strategy in mind with this? Before we carry on,
that's actually a good place to start.
Just to preface it, because if you were going to wildcard early, maybe you're fine with Mosquera because you don't need him for a longer period. But if you are trying to hold the wildcard, then that will affect.
My main thing with chip strategy this season is to be as open as possible. I'm not bench boosting in game week 1 because bench boosting in game week 1 has gone from something that really cool people do in previous seasons to like a mainstream decision that's really boring. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be part of the herd who are going for bench boost 1. I'm a distinguished gentleman, and I'm maybe going to do bench boost 2, but also I might not do bench boost 2. I want to stay open to the possibility of going a bit later. Maybe I want to stay open to bench boost 4. I also want to stay open to an early wild card with the bench boost afterwards. I think that's a strategy that,
So can you, before you go there, for people who are of your mindset, because there's a lot. I can think of FPL Nightmare Andrew, who's looking at it later, who's trying to be different with good EV, right? I can think of Danny, who's in the chat a lot, who's in our server. They're not thinking of early bench boost. How do you actually solve? How do you make branches, or do you just say, you know what, I'm going to make a robust team now and then just think about it later?
So a bit of both. I think that in terms of like deciding chip strategy, personally, I have like a fairly strong preference for wildcarding early. I am a big believer, probably the biggest believer out of kind of analytics-y players in team value. I think that having a bad team value pretty much always propagates like later on. And I say this as somebody who had a terrible team value last season.
I was going to point that out, but thank you for mentioning it.
I had the worst team value of anyone It was terrible, and it really affected my projected points. Like, it's measurable how much team value has an impact. Like, it's really, really meaningful. And wildcarding early and unfortunately hopping on bandwagons sometimes is the best way to build team value. So I've come around, I think, over the last couple of years towards the idea that the first wildcard should usually be played in the first 8 game weeks, and there's really diminishing returns after that. Around that, I think the most interesting insight that I've had from listening to you guys chat about preseason is, and chatting with you as well, is Jonny made a comment that actually it doesn't, like, all of the, like, decent, as long as you know, even if you're trying to use the worst possible chip strategy, you're only losing, I don't know, like 10 points on the field
10,
compared to the best. Yeah, within 10. And that means that all of the good chip strategies are within a few points of each other. So, like, on one level, it doesn't really matter. On another level, I think that there's a case to be made if you want to take on risk for just doing something different, even if it's not optimal in terms of points. And also, I think there's a case to be made for just staying open, because even if they're never a perfect opportunity, never materializes, just playing it at a time that's, like, good enough is good enough. You're not going to lose that much. So I'm trying to stay open. I'm trying to create a lot of branches, but also I'm trying to do things that other people aren't necessarily doing. So that's, I guess, what's driving my chip strategies and my branches.
No, that's, I mean, I understand it, agree with it. I don't do hours and hours of chip strategy videos. I agree with it. It just doesn't matter.
Yes.
I think
on to the next.
Well, just one quick point on that as well, while we just keep basking in the glory of this triple Arsenal defence. One of the things to add on staying open to different chip strategies is you do minimize your maximum potential loss, because when I did the chip strategy in terms of, like, calculating what's the worst one, and I couldn't remember exactly what the worst ones were, like, within 10 points, that was over, like, a sort of 19 game week horizon with all the assumptions in mind. So it might be that, like, you start with bench boost 1, wildcard 3, but then if you bench boost 1 and half your players get injured and you have to wildcard 2, then you've lost a lot of potential in that. Or you set something up and go, like, I'm committing to specifically this strategy. Even if stuff comes at you and you should be adapting, you either stick with it or your team was set up poorly to make those adaptations. That's where you can lose real projected points. And obviously they happen a week at a time. But yeah, in the same way that having less team value will just slowly dint away at your projected points, and presumably points if the projections are at least somewhat accurate. The same thing can happen with a team that isn't adaptable to different chip strategies, where suddenly an opportunity arises, or the opposite, something gets thrown at you and you have to kind of dodge it like a big problem. If you can adapt quickly, you're able to withstand those hits, and actually you're able to not need to take hits, not need to just field a worse team for a few weeks. You can adapt a lot in that sense. So that has not immeasurable value in that we can't measure it, but, like, it has some value in that your predicted points are going to be a range of outcomes still, even if we, like, calculate it in one go. The range of outcomes is going to depend on what happens each week. Did this guy get a red card? Did he get suspended that week or that week? Do they sign this player before game week 2, etc., etc. Then being able to judge for all of that lets you keep your chance of ending up in that bottom tier much lower. So that has value too, I think.
Absolutely.
But yes, shall we get the next player?
Let's do it.
So
we've got triple Arsenal. That, I think, goes without saying. The next pick in the defense is James Tarkowski.
I typed in James. That's not his name.
James, yep.
You threw me off. James Tarkowski.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tarkowski, DEFCON monster, has, in terms of staying flexible for these opening kind of 7 or 8 fixtures, he's got some really Everton have got some really peachy fixtures in there. Like, they've got, Ipswich at home, game week 5, Hull City away, game week 6. And if I want to stay open to kind of game week 7 and game week 8 wildcard, which I do, I think having an Everton player in there to cover the defence is very, very useful. I like Tarkowski a lot, and DEFCON's what a guy. Next up, let's do
small thing on Tarkowski's expected minutes. Sorry, James. Just one to monitor for people. This is fans, right? So just take it with a pinch of salt. But there's a lot of chatter that if they sign a right back, then they could have O'Brien, who moves to the right centre back, and then Branthwaite could start, and Tarkowski doesn't start every single game. Now, this could be all just fan rubbish chatter, right? But because it's out there and it's preseason, it's just worth knowing. But I'm fully with you. Like, if you're looking for a Game Week 7 wildcard, Tarkowski is just the best defender in the game. He might be, regardless of any wildcard window. He showed that last year after Gabriel. But he's just, he's the best DEFCON guy. Everton keep getting good results and just keep on eking out clean sheets. We all complain about Pickford, that he keeps these clean sheets. Well, Tarkowski is the equivalent. So, love it.
Yeah, I think the Everton fans see, like, in the next few years, they want Branthwaite and Jacob Ryan to be their centre-back partnership, and they want Tarkowski and Keane to be the backups. But, like, at what speed do they get to that? And they haven't got the fullbacks to do it yet. So it might be that happens quickly. But, I want to monitor, but I wouldn't worry too much about it just yet. Unless,
on our default Solio projections, Tarkowski right now is the second highest projected defender in those first 6 game weeks, and by a comfortable margin ahead of third place as well. So again, and might not be that highly owned. So I'm excited about him as a pick. Next up in the defence is Hill and Sanchez, 2 Bournemouth guys.
Oh yes, what's his name? Juan? No, he is Sanchez. He's called Juanlu Sanchez, and they called him Sanchez in the game.
Who is that? I've never heard of this Sanchez. What does he do?
He's the right back. He's
the right back.
He's coming at
4.5, right?
He's coming at 4.5 is partly why.
Okay,
so I think we're expecting it to be him, Hill, Antonio Silva, and Truffert as the back 4. But it might be that he maybe, I suppose, if he doesn't play game week 1, then it's Man City, he's on your bench and you're not bench boosting, so maybe that's okay. Because they might take Adam Smith. He's a bit of a leader. He might be someone who, like, they just need to bed Sanchez in, but I think they might just throw him in. They might need to. They don't really have any right backs. So, yes, I don't think he offers a huge amount other than being part of a Bournemouth team who's quite strong. He's a good right back, but
he's a 4.5 guy, and he plays for the same team as one of my other guys.
That'll do.
So this is bench boost 2. Okay, the cat is out of the bag.
It's a pretty nice bench boost team.
Yes,
but if I get an injury or two, or a couple, like as we say, if Tarkowski and Sanchez don't play in game week 1 for whatever reason, this stays flexible.
You can happily base it.
Yeah, exactly. And with everyone playing bench boost 1, hopefully, I hope that they will play bench boost 1. I don't think that many people will own Bournemouth defenders. Man City
That's
away
true.
as the first fixture. Like, this is it's
a nice bet to make.
If you want to bet against bench boost 1, Bournemouth defence are right there.
Do you have the Rashford guy as your second keeper? Just to get that out of the way, because if it's bench boosting, you must have.
Whatever.
You must have.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Whatever. He doesn't care.
Just the one commentary. Take note, Johnny. Just the one commentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta have one.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my midfielders, first name on the team sheet is Bruno Fernandes.
If you don't have Haaland, you need a captain. Yeah.
Oh, spoilers! Don't get too far ahead of yourself there, Johnny.
How are you going to fit Haaland into this?
Solio got him extra 5 million just for all the hard work that he's done this year.
Okay, let me just.
We'll see. Maybe.
There we go.
And if you want 5 more million, put in the code. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Not quite.
So also in my midfield, I have.
No, you got to take out Haaland. People get confused, Johnny.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that is.
Undo. He's gone.
Let's put NDI in there as the next one. As I mentioned, I'm a big fan of having an Everton player or two and staying open to a slightly later wildcard, but also having a good game week 1 team.
Yeah, there's been rumours of transfers away, but apparently he's not going to. What was it? His wife was looking at sofas.
No, but even
Liverpool.
Fabrizio Romano actually tweeted that he's staying. But
I prefer Baker's.
That the wife's buying sofas and stuff, right? I prefer that too. But crucially, in Romano's tweet, he said he's decided to stay in the Premier League. He didn't say Everton.
Oh.
So there is still a chance that, Arsenal come in or whatever. So it's not a lock in terms of Ndai staying, but he's staying in the Premier League. So he'll be an FPL pick or not, we will see. But for now, let's assume he is.
What if you could go to Coventry and then you're all fine?
then you're quids in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who's next?
Pascal Gross is next.
Oh, of course. Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Very
bit
popular.
of a, I mean, I don't think there's too much to say.
Yeah,
We think his minutes are quite solid.
but Baleba got injured.
Yeah, nothing to say on Gross. Everyone listening to this podcast has Gross, so nothing.
Okay.
But the only thing I would say is that he plays Chelsea away in game week 2, as does so the Everton guys also play Bournemouth away. So there's a little bit of game week 2. They don't have the best, most amazing fixtures, but I guess Gross is good anyway. And Tarkowski's good
I'm sure
anyway.
he's
flexibility.
He's
keep him
Chelsea defense
5.5. Let's him afford all these guys.
He's probably relishing that. Okay, next up in my draft is, drumroll please, Szoboszlai.
I don't have the drum roll effect, but I will put Szoboszlai.
No, but that's good enough. So Szoboszlai is an interesting one. I think that in terms of Liverpool midfielders, like I really like Szoboszlai and I really like Wirtz as well. I like Wirtz even more than Szoboszlai.
Florian Wirtz.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well done.
But I think that we're still not sure who's going to be on pens in this Liverpool team. And I think there's something to be said for owning guys who you're not sure, especially with a wild card in hand, owning guys who you're not sure whether they're on pens or not. I think if Szoboszlai turns out to be on pens, he's, I think, like a definite, like clearly really, really, really good pick and probably better than Wirtz. And I quite like the idea of rolling that dice. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. As with all these other things, I'm taking a lot of risk on here in terms of like fragility, and I can just early wildcard if it doesn't all go to plan. But in this scenario where Szoboszlai does end up being the penalty taker for Liverpool, I think he's a fantastic pick. But this is a big question mark, this spot in my mind. I've been kind of going back and forth. Wirtz, Szoboszlai.
Are you taking ownership into consideration there?
Yeah.
Or
lots of options. Okay, anyway, next up, finishing off this midfield is Mbeumo.
Over Wirtz, very good.
Yes. This is like a bit of a question mark. I like Wirtz as well, but I like having Bruno and Mbeumo. They've got some nice kind of some covariance. So when one gets points, the other is likely to get points. These are all, I think Szoboszlai, Wirtz, and Mbeumo are all solid picks, and I like having two at that price point that I can kind of swap between based on what happens in those first few game weeks. But yeah, Mbeumo, good pick.
You can quite easily sell Mbeumo after 2 weeks once those two fixtures are done, and buy Wirtz if he's looking good, or keep Mbeumo if he's not, or buy Semenyo in game week 3. Yeah, he's good. I think I like Mbeumo as a starting point. People are quite keen on him now, but yeah, he's really good because you get those 2 good game weeks starting off the bat.
Holloway, Ipswich at home.
You probably might get him up front for one, if not both of them, and then he's either okay after that, or he's your route to Chelsea, City, Liverpool, whatever. I like it.
Absolutely. Next up in my draft is Fulham's Garcia.
Not
that's
Muniz.
a name no one's heard.
I know. I was listening to your episode last week, and I heard Pras say, that he wasn't very interested in Fulham assets, and I thought everyone is going to be listening to Pras saying this.
Yes,
and they don't know about this guy. They don't know about
Give
Garcia.
us a hypothesis on Garcia.
What's the hypothesis? The hypothesis is that he's £6 million, and there are a lot of forwards that are £6 million, as we'll get to in a minute. I think it's a very important price range to cover. He has Chelsea at home, game week 1. Not great, not terrible. And then, he's... again, this could change by game week 1, but I think that he's, I'm pretty hot on his minutes. There's still a bit of risk there, and again, with the early wild card, we can figure it out. But yeah, I think he's a high upside pick.
Mm-hmm.
Again, another one that we think should have pens, but good upside. Yeah, fair enough. Beautiful.
Exactly.
Game week 2. Who have they got? They've got Sunderland Game week 2.
So in the way, not bad.
See, not that I'm here to change your mind, but I do like Brobby as well for that price, only because the first 2 are very good for him. And the more I'm looking at this team is going to use a chip in Game Week 3, which we'll talk about once you share the full draft.
Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of this price point, the next forward in my team is Calvert-Lewin.
Another 6 million forward.
Another 6 mil. I just love this price point. Again, there are other ways that you can go here. I think that if I don't know, I can also see worlds where I have a front three that has only 1 6 mil forward and has João Pedro instead, and maybe like downgrades one of the defenders. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like this price point a lot. I like Calvert-Lewin. He's potentially the worst finisher in the world. Like, I mean, to get a load of his shot map. He takes a lot of shots and he doesn't finish them off very well. And if you go into the stats, there is a case to be made that he is the worst finisher in under football. But he gets so many shots. He does take a lot of shots.
That's more important.
More important than finishing sometimes. I owned Calvert-Lewin down the back stretch of last season. Had a great time with him. He got me goals, and I think he's going to do the same again. I think he's a good pick. And the last spot in my team is...
You've run out of money for Haaland. You don't have enough.
Oh, no.
9.5.
I don't have room for Haaland. It's going to have to be Alexander Isak.
Oh, there we go. That's all right then.
Yeah. Who's frankly better than Haaland anyway, because he's going to be fit to play. He's going to be... I'm so excited about Isak this season, not just in FPL, but in real life too. I think that he's going to explode. I think that he's going to have, I think that he's going to be the focal point of the Liverpool attack. And I just think he's a great pick. And if you know me, you knew there was never a question of owning Haaland. And I think that if things don't, again, like...
What if no one owns Haaland?
Now with thinking about what could happen and what might happen. If things go really badly in the first few weeks, it's much easier to move from. It's not like too hard to move from Isak to Haaland. You can downgrade some other guys like Gabriel and Bruno. It's possible. There is a stochastic branch I have where I want Haaland in by game week 4, and that's the route in. But yeah. Isak, I'm excited. I also
need him
think
by game week 3.
Big game week 3. I mean, also the covariance with another Liverpool midfielder is nice. I like having two from each team, so they can combine and boost the width of my distribution and make some more extreme outcomes possible.
I assume the Bournemouth defenders away at Man City are on the bench, but which attacker are you benching? Or does this let you go, maybe Garcia's not ready and I can put him on the first bench?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to say right now. I guess Calvert-Lewin. But, we'll have to see what happens.
One of the 6
I like benching headaches. I like to have a benching headache.
Yeah,
a benching headache is the sign of a healthy squad.
Well said.
Having no benching headaches means that you have it means that your funds are not sufficiently distributed and you don't have good rotation options and you don't have good squad depth. Having a benching headache is a fantastic thing to have because you can get it wrong, but whatever happens, you're starting 11 good players.
Is your bench in game week 2? Raya, Tarkowski, Garcia, and Gross.
That looks pretty bench boostable to me. I don't know what you guys think. I quite like that.
Good.
I quite like that
it's
bench.
Like 15 points, give or take. That's pretty good.
Well, I would say, I don't know if you've considered this. You have enough for actually he's the same price. Petrovic, 4.5, triple Bournemouth defense. Is that something that would interest you?
Yeah, it's not something that I looked at because
but then you are really less flexible in that it's harder to get a Tavernier if you need him later. So maybe that's where if you want an attacker, you're more stuck. But yeah, if you want some covariance, there's always ways to triple up.
Can
it's
I
a very
address the
interesting
two
shout,
elephants?
Johnny. It's a very interesting shout. I mean, I hadn't even mentioned this draft leaves $1 million in the bank. when you don't own Haaland, it's kind of almost difficult to spend the money. Like you can buy a lot of other players with when you don't own Haaland. I'm a believer that having lots of money in the bank in Game Week 1 is an underrated strategy. I think that not enough managers do it every season. I've had, I think, 2 seasons where I've started with 0.5 in the bank, and both times it's come in handy in Game Week 2 or Game Week 3. And actually solving over these branches, solving stochastically, you can see exactly where it comes in handy. Like, I didn't force a certain amount of money in the bank. This just came out as the best solution because it's most flexible over these different branches and chip strategies.
You can choose where to spend it when you have more information for a fairly minimal loss now. But yeah, Praz, you were going to butt in and say
There's
something.
2 elephants in the room that we haven't addressed.
Elephants?
Which is
Where are they?
Man City, Chelsea.
Yeah. Yes.
Man City have Coventry at home in
those
Game Week
guys.
3. Chelsea have Hull at home in Game Week 4. So, what's the plan?
Free hit wild card.
The plan is, I mean, what are you talking about? Why do I need Man City players? I mean, that's just one game. Like, I remember that there was a game week 2 years ago where everyone triple captained. Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Exactly. Start
You'd
my
probably
keepers
be using a
playing
chip,
against Man
right?
City.
Either free hit or wildcard by 3 or 4. I feel that 3 may be wildcard or free hit can be 4 or 3.
Both of these are. I mean, I think 3 and 4 are both good weeks for me to play the free hit with my kind of commitments where they are, and both are options. But again, Praz, I'm not committing to it. This team is
It's
nice
very different
because it
to the
keeps
way I play.
several
I need to
strategies
know.
open.
I need to know every week. But
Yeah.
I get it.
No, I
get
need to not know every week. It's very important to me that.
What are you doing next week?
This team
I don't know.
keeps several chip strategies open. Sorry, Johnny.
like
What did you say?
Well, just I feel like people ask, well, what are you doing next week, James? I don't know. I think
I don't know,
that's
Jeff.
valid.
I mean,
That's
next week I'm not
that's
doing
good.
anything. I'm going to be
But-
coding in a room, trying to build
well-
the best software and playing with my draft.
Yes,
Yeah. If you want to know, ask me. You can get me on the podcast again.
he'll be back.
I'll be back.
See you in Game Week 3 when you won't be wildcarding and Haaland's playing Coventry. But no, I'm kidding. There's enough time to think about that
We'll get
stuff.
one
And
after
if you want to
Game
be
Week 3
flexible,
once Haaland's blanked or hauled, hopefully.
no, if he's hauled, we'll definitely get him after.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with my smugness after he blanks.
No.
I mean, this will
So
be.
you
this
see
will
the
be
way
next level.
This isn't obviously my draft, but the way my brain works is, so if I'm trying to back solve, if I'm going to then wildcard 3, then I can get a striker that has better fixtures than Garcia in Game Week 1 and Game Week 2, like Brobby. If I'm going to bench boost in Game Week 2, then I can get a Lafay instead of a Gross because, there's better fixtures there. So it's like I start to go down that line of thinking. But then, yes, it's true that then makes it very fixed that I have to wildcard when things can change. So I get what sort of your approach is.
Very nice. Anything else to add, or should we move on to our Q&A section?
No, I would rate this a 10 on 10 for a no
Whoa!
Haaland draft.
100%.
It doesn't have enough Coventry players to be a 10 out of 10. Thank you, Praz.
To be
but,
honest, to be honest, let's step back and look big picture. Like, you got double Man United attack, you got double Liverpool attack, you got triple Arsenal defense, you got Everton, who I think is the second best defender in the game, and Tarkowski lets you be flexible for long term, short term. You're going for Bournemouth players where nobody will have Bournemouth because they're bench boosting in one. I get a lot of the risk situation. So it is a high risk, high return strategy, which not everybody is comfortable with, but this is what
that's a
Solio's
compliment to James. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what he wants, really. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
very good. Let's see how it does.
Good. So is there anything else I'm missing
We
in the
have
agenda?
some questions.
Questions, and while we do the questions, should we put the mini league code up so that people can join it?
A mini league. If you want to join our
The
mini league,
mini league is called not 1 times, not 2 times, not 4 times, but 8 times cool, which is X8 cool. And that is done by hours of hard work by Jonny by clicking next,
I just
auto-generate
sat there one at a time.
for 3 days.
Yep.
And then
Finally
you
got
got
one. I'll put the mini league link in the description as well, and we'll share this on Twitter.
Yeah,
But yeah,
join the love. It's free to join, support us, all the good stuff. But if you join the league, it'll be great. Although I don't do very well in the Solio League. We'll see how this year goes.
Wow. Did you beat Rob last year, or did Rob beat? I can't remember.
I beat Rob.
I beat Rob. I'm sorry.
How can you forget this?
I meant no offense. I don't
Yes.
know. I was trying to catch Chris. Didn't get him quite.
It's like, I was not interested in the relegation scrap. I get it.
No. It was more interesting than the mid-table stuff. So we have a question. A few coming up. We've got, which player do you like the least? Have you deliberately changed any minutes in our prediction? I can't really answer this because I'd set them, but are there any players that keep coming up that you're like, why is the solver suggesting him? I don't want that.
This is funny. So last season, I made a lot of like minutes edits based on my, football expertise, and then at the end of the season, we generated some season reports, and these like showed us how well we did in our minutes editing. Mine were shockingly terrible. I lost like across the whole board to Jonny and Rob, who maintain our projection model. You guys beat me, and I've learnt my lesson. Unless I'm like acting on concrete info and just like trying to get ahead of the curve, I'm going to be avoiding editing minutes as much as possible. And in terms of players that I don't like, I'm trying to come into this with an open
Apart from
mind as
Haaland.
possible. Yeah, so the one name is Haaland. If Haaland is the only player that I've clicked ban on, I think that FPL managers have a tendency to, lean slightly too heavily into their biases against certain players and certain clubs. I really do try to do that as little as possible. There was a time when I didn't even own it. I didn't own any Everton players for like 3 seasons, and now look at me. I might be starting with 2 Everton players. Yeah, the times are changing, and so am I. And I'm trying to be as open-minded as possible, but I will not be owning Haaland in game week 1,
You need
or
to
game
click
week
that.
2,
Times
or
are
game week
changing.
3.
Okay.
So am I.
Any biases, Praz? Anyone you click ban?
It's just with minutes, really. Like Gahey, I've been editing whenever I see him. Branthwaite was showing up, and I was just like, this guy is just broken. Like I don't like him.
Yeah.
So I think
That's a
those are the
different
two.
point.
Bruno G was irritating a lot of us. Muniz was irritating a lot of us beginning of the season, but those are all have gone.
Leeds have bought Trafford now. I kept getting Perry coming up, and I didn't even know what to do with Perry because they literally didn't have another goalkeeper in the game to like give the minutes to. But they do now have Trafford.
Gomez, my favorite 5.0 mid. I've been tweaking his minutes, so that's actually the opposite of what you asked, where I've been bumping him up to other stuff.
Do we think Ismail Assar is being overlooked? Gets mentioned quite a lot on our Discord server. We've got a lot of Ismail Assar fans, but what do we reckon? Are we fans?
Well, he's playing against Tarkovsky game week 1, so that's a no-go.
Yes. Okay, well there you go. Yeah,
he's never getting past that brick wall.
You could put him on the bench and then bench boost him in game week 2. Maybe.
I just think midfield is a very crowded bracket.
Game week 3 and 4, Fulham away, Ipswich at home in game week 4, then like Leeds away, Forest at home in 5 and 6. I can see Sarr being a huge pick on like an early wild card. I don't think he's going to get overlooked for that, but there are so many good midfielders, and only one of them plays for Palace. I would like to get several like attacking players from the same team.
Yeah, you can't double up with Mateta because Strand Larsen's there, and
exactly
you get Adam Wharton or I don't know.
Yeah, so good,
I have to ask about the forward covariance. Like one of the things that's at the back of my mind, like if you pick 3 players from the same attack, they each can't get 3 bonus. Whereas if you pick 3 players from a different attack, they can each get 3 bonus. Does that impact your thinking at all?
It does dampen the like related outcomes.
Because it's not like clean sheets where they're all correlated.
Yeah,
right?
they get the clean sheet and they get 4 points each.
Yeah. So this is actually, I'll say this is a measurable problem and something that we've put some time at Solio into like digging into the data and seeing just how covariant, how correlated forwards who play for the same team and forwards and midfielders who play for the same team are. I think the number is like having 2 forwards who play for the same team is like, I don't know, increases your risk by about 10 to 15% versus having them versus the risk of having two on different teams, like based on how much risk those two players are contributing to your team. So it's not huge. It's not as big as defenders, who are like way higher than that. They're like in the 30s and 40s, I think, for that same metric. But it's real, and it's positive. And just because they're often getting bonus from each other, that is like meaningfully outweighed by the fact that they're assisting each other.
Yeah. So if you took the bonus out of it, so there are games that I play that don't have that bonus thing, or they're not sharing stuff, then yeah, it kind of pushes nearer towards the 20% for that. So it dampens the effect, but the correlation is enough that is the dominant factor, so to speak. So it's worth thinking about. But yeah, I think it's not the it doesn't swing it so far the other way that it doesn't matter. Even if they're like the two guys who are likely to get the bonus, that's fine, unless they change the rules and they make the bonus more harder to share, or we'll see. But yes. We've got a question about the Community Shield. So how much of an impact does minutes in the Community Shield have on your general strategy? So I guess, it's going to have an impact on our Haaland Game Week 1 expectations, and therefore then have a knock-on effect on strategy from that. So, I'll go to you, Pras. What are you looking for in
I'm just looking at minutes, man.
Yeah.
How ready do teams look? And it's in the context of so many new managers and the World Cup, right? So there's two factors here, which are making us more minutes uncertain than at any point I could remember going into Game Week 1. So yeah, of course, yes, there can be an overreaction. Like if Haaland plays 60 minutes, does he mean he's going to play 90 in Game Week 1, or is he going to be on the bench in Game Week 1? We cannot be certain. But I do think that him playing 20 minutes versus 60 minutes versus 90 minutes is information. Mm-hmm. What you do about it, do you overreact to it, or do you react the right way to it? I think that's up to us, and we will discuss all of that.
I think you should react the right way to it.
We should try to react the right way, but we don't. I don't. So I'll be very curious, because I think the final weekend is probably the first teams, because the managers are trying to play what is like a dress rehearsal for Game Week 1. So that's something that I will keep an eye on. And Man City in particular, Nico Riley could have massive potential, especially in the setup that Maresca likes, where he can be the Cucurella types bombing forward, which he did under Pep, but even more so has that potential. So he could be almost like a template breaker if he starts or even gets a few minutes. Haaland, of course, I don't need to say much about. He's the same. People are looking out for, does Doku get minutes? And if Doku starts, what does that mean for Semenyo? Does Cherki get minutes? What does that mean for Foden? So there's bound to be overreaction here. And we will be there when that happens. And for Arsenal, I don't think there's much in it. Like, we already know what we get from Arsenal. Maybe looking out for where Bruno G plays. Probably instead of Rice, but we'll see. But for Arsenal, I think it's less to learn. We know their defense is good.
But you think there's enough info available in the Community Shield that it could change your strategy if you saw one thing or the other? Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yes.
A question for James, to pass it back. This is actually referencing your pod last season that we had you on. I think it was Game Week 12 for your wild card. So you justified your Game Week 1 decisions, such as Haaland over Salah, starting with Raya and Gabriel, by pointing out how little information we have before Game Week 1 and the subsequent risk that the template can shift rapidly. What do you think is the best way to account for that risk in your stochastic solving on Solio? The fact that the template shifts a lot. You need to be ready.
I mean, I think in Game Week 1, the most important thing is staying really open to the early wildcard and not necessarily knowing which game week that early wildcard will be. So when I'm planning, I've got a branch for wildcard 3, I've got a branch for wildcard 4, and I've got a branch for wildcard 5. And I'm only kind of splitting these branches apart at the latest possible opportunity. So for me, I think that's the biggest thing. I think that my strategy this year will be to probably wildcard quite early, but definitely wildcard relatively early, so that, you can really take advantage of these shifts. Other than that, I guess there's a case to be made for like having a real backbone to your team and having a bunch of like really good, really high minutes kind of starters, so that you're not going to need to make spend free transfers on. But I would say that's maybe a tip for somebody who's committing to wildcarding later on. Like, I don't know that is so important with the wildcard in hand and with half a nighter wildcarding early.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We are talking a lot about early bench boost, and like the rules haven't materially changed from last season. So, what do we think? Was the consensus wrong last season, or has the game changed? Like, why do we think bench boost 1 is so much more popular than last season?
I think the consensus was probably wrong last season.
Yeah?
I don't know. I mean, I think that. I mean, I was definitely saying. I can't remember if I did it in the end. But I always thought the bench boost 1 last season was really strong, and was kind of surprised that more people weren't going for it. And yeah, I think that getting it out the way and not having, especially if you're wildcarding early, not letting it affect your team structure in the long run is really advantageous. Like the bench boost, it does really drain a point or two on average out of the rest of your team on the game weeks around it, because you really have to make structural sacrifices, and getting that out the way as early as possible, I think is clearly the best thing to do. And if it weren't for the fact that bench boost 1 is very clearly going to be a popular chip strategy this season, I would be doing it again this year.
Has your mind changed much on it? I know you're doing it this year, Praz, and you didn't do it last year, but
I mean, there's only 2 words: Martin Dubravka.
yeah,
Like he existed and he made
Marco
bench boosting. Exactly. He just made bench boosting easier in any week because you don't have to change your structure. And the other 2 words are Mark Gue. Like, you could get to that structure and then at some point just change your third forward to a Gue. So it's like 2 moves away, so you can play your bench boost anytime. But this year it feels like you have to actively set it up, because then you have 0.5 or 1 million stuck in your bench as your second keeper. So it's just like, it's not worth it. So I guess that's what it is. Then you add to it the fact that more people are inclined to wildcard earlier because there's no clear fixture swing that you can hold out for. And so people are like, if I'm going to wildcard earlier, I just want to get this thing done before. So I think those are the 2 factors really that are leading to the earlier bench boost.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Mark Gue was the most impactful player for chip strategy last season, and looks like it won't be this season. We do have a 4.5 forward who might start the first week with Vala Egeli, I think plays for Ipswich.
Yes.
But I wouldn't be super sure about that. Like he started with what looked like their first team in the last friendly, but he rotated quite a lot with other players last season, and they've got a few new guys coming in that moves people around, so the other guy who plays attacking mid, Nunes, he was playing deeper, but now they've signed Lukic and they've got another guy coming back from injury. So I'd watch that one, because maybe, and they play Sunderland, like it's not a bad fixture for them. So maybe that's enough for you to try and do it and play longer, but yeah, we'll see. We had a question about in game week 1 trying to pick proven assets with good minutes, but I think we kind of covered that with James talking about balancing that with what you might want to do. So if people are looking at no Haaland bench boost 1, do you prefer free hit 3 wildcard 5-7 or wildcard 3 and save the free hit for later? Anyone got a clear preference on the 2? I know James will say, I'll be ready for both and see what happens.
I'll be ready for both.
I'll ask Praz then.
My clear preference is going to be determined after the Community Shield, because ultimately, what is the difference between these 2 strategies? The strategy is how high are you on Man City? Do you want to go against Man City game week 3 to 7, or do you want to go with Man City and not go for Chelsea as such? Because if you wildcard 3, you can't really end up with triple Chelsea on the bench. I mean, you can, but it's not ideal. You have triple Chelsea on the bench, or you commit transfers to get to many of them by game week 4 when they play Hull. So that's the dilemma with wildcard 3. So I feel like if you're wildcarding 3, you're going to go heavy on Man City, obviously, because they have Coventry at home. But then you're almost saying, I like Man City, Liverpool as the guys that I'm backing. Chelsea to a smaller extent. Man United definitely not, because you probably get out of Bruno in game week 3. Definitely Mbeumo and Maguire and Shaws of this world. So it's again, you're thinking about the teams that you're taking on and what you want to do with that. And so why the Community Shield will matter to me is if I think Haaland is the only one, it's still the same guy who's getting it. Everything, all the minutes are shared between everybody. Now, I may not know all this by Community Shield, but I'm saying in a perfect world, if I had perfect information, then that would push me more towards just free hit 3 and just go against Haaland. But if I think Nico Riley is going to be amazing, Semenyo or Foden is going to be great, or Guardiola is going to be great, and I want to triple up, the right triple up by game week 3, then wildcard 3 is more appealing. So we'll discuss it next week on where we are.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot more info by next week, and we can discuss that. And people will be more set on which kind of teams they want to go for, and all those other peripheral players will be a bit more sure on. So I think we've probably got one more. So some people are tired of hearing about bench boost 1, bench boost 2, and wildcard 3 or 4. Have we found any alternate strategies for like playing it later? Have you found your wildcard 13 from last season, or like what? I guess some of the plan is like, this is what FPL Nightmare's looking at. He's kind of got a specific free hit 15, wildcard 16, bench boost 17. I think
wildcard 17 is a very good window for fixture swings.
Yeah,
like it's so late.
Would you just go, I'm going to find it later and something will come up and I'll figure out as I go, or is there anything like? I think free hit 8 and free hit 14 have both popped out for me a little bit in some solves in terms of trying to plan for that. I can't remember exactly what the fixtures were. And a bench boost around 10, 11 or 12 looks like a spot. That's where I played mine last year after I messed up my wild card. But I've not really looked at too much else. Have you found much on your travels, James? Or you've looked at all of them?
I'm
and you're ready
quite
for anything?
committed to not wildcarding super late.
Yeah.
So I admire people who are going wildcard 17. I think that it's a cool thing to commit to, and if you can find a team that suits early wildcarding quite well, maybe it's worth keeping the option open. And maybe I will, but yeah, it's not really a consideration for me.
Lovely. We'll call it there. I'm good.
Excellent.
To add?
Yes.
Join the Minileague code. I've had it on the screen for 20 minutes, so I'm sure you've joined by now. But
you couldn't have missed it.
Plug it again. And we'll back next week, same time.
Back next week. We'll see, depending on schedules and stuff, but we'll be back. And thank you very much, James, for joining us. It's been a hectic summer. Hopefully, once the game week 1 deadline goes, then you can chill a little bit more. I don't know if that happens, but
I mean, this has been a blast, guys. This has actually been probably the longest amount of time I've spent without writing a line of code in the last 3 months, which has been much appreciated. And I would say to the people, keep your eyes peeled. Take a look at the tool. We've got some really fun stuff shipping this week. We've got more fun stuff shipping next week.
Excellent.
It's going to be a great season. We're so excited for it.
Love to hear it. Guys, support the channel, the YouTube channel, which is also important. It lets everybody know about Solio. So like this video. If you can, subscribe to the channel. We've hit 5,000 subsibers. Never imagined that would happen a year into our podcast. So thank you very much for that. But keep going. We can do more. And go test the tool if you haven't. fpl.solioanalytics.com. Test it out. There's a free tier. It's an excellent free tier if you just want to first check out what it's all about. Dip your feet slowly, and then we'll get there. So thank you everybody for listening. We will be back next week. Good luck. Happy tinkering. Don't overreact to the Community Shield.